there's a tape, right, with Mr. Homan? I mean, first of all, is there a tape that has audio and video of the transfer of the $50,000?
You would have to talk to Director Patel about that.
No, I'm talking to you.
I don't know the answer, Senator.
Yeah, you do know the answer to that.
Don't call me a liar.
I didn't call you a liar.
You just said I know the answer. I said I don't know the answer.
Well,
you have to talk to Director Patel.
So they say that sometimes the cover-up is worse than the underlying conduct. I don't know if that's the case here. Both the underlying conduct and the cover-up are absolutely despicable. You heard there, Attorney General, though it pains me to say that, Pam Bondi, saying that she doesn't know anything about whether there exists the videotape of Tom Homan, the border czar, or audio of Tom Homan, the border czar, back in September of 2024, accepting $50,000 in cash in a little baggie from a restaurant in exchange for certain promises. She claims that she doesn't know whether that video or audio exists. You don't know. Then she said, well, you can go and ask Kash Patel. And when you ask him, he basically acts like he doesn't know as well. And it's this circular loop of lies. But what happens where an attorney general appears to be lying under oath? Who handles that? And you're at an oversight committee hearing where they're supposed to ask those types of questions. And that's what your behavior is. And also, where the hell has Tom Homan gone, right? He used to always love to appear on CNN and ABC, and he would say, we're going to go after your cities. We're going after you. We're going to hurt you and inflict pain no matter who you are, and act like a tough guy. He's occasionally done a Fox appearance, but when he's been asked about, so Laura Ingraham, I think, said, did you take the cash or did you not take the cash? His response was, everything I did was perfectly legal. Okay. So he didn't deny that. Well, what happened with the cash? Okay. Did he report that cash on his taxes? Where is it? Did he ever return it? Yeah, these are legitimate questions. And we're not just dealing with like a nobody. Tom Homan is the guy in charge of rounding up migrants and citizens as well who look a certain way, throwing them into concentration camps or disappearing them. I mean, just think about Alligator Alcatraz. What, like 80% of the people there are like missing? Like no one knows, were they deported? Are they alive? Like what's the status of these human beings? It's a big deal. He goes around accusing everybody of being Antifa, this, that, and the other. And this is a guy who seems to have taken $50,000 of cash, in like a brown paper bag and claims that's how he does business. Pam Bondi didn't want to talk about that. She didn't want to talk about flagging that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein file. She literally says, I'm not going to respond to you on that. That was her answer. Not talking to you about that. And that seemed to be her. And then when she was not doing that, she would just be attacking the senators. Oh, you like Antifa. I wouldn't hire you. And she would like shake her head and do weird ways she was drinking the water, just bobbing around. The whole thing was un-American. Let me bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Talking Feds Substack, Talking Feds podcast. Folks, it's called Talking Feds because Harry was a lifelong federal prosecutor. He rose through the ranks to pretty much the highest ranks in the federal government in the prosecutorial section. Maine Justice, he had one of the top positions there. He was the top federal prosecutor, literally the number one top federal prosecutor in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. He's very familiar with these issues. He's worked closely with attorney generals in the past, so he knows how these things are supposed to go down. I had to give you, by the way, he clerked for 2 separate Supreme Court justices, which is basically unheard of. So he knows a thing or two about the way things are supposed to be versus the way they were. Harry, break it down for us.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks for all those props. But let me zero in. When I was a justice, something I've done a fair bit of is prepare attorneys general for oversight hearings such as this one. I can't really state strongly enough how you're very kind to call it just un-American. It was tawdry, contemptuous, completely, outraged. And what I think is really important to note is it seemed quite clear to me watching it. This was all a prearranged script. So she came in and batted away anything she could bat away and then some. And when we got to things she couldn't, that's when she had these series of, are you still beating your wife? Responses to individual senators. How dare you accuse me of that when you didn't do your military service? I'm stunned you would do that when you've taken money. So that sort of feigned outrage, it was not spontaneous. And look, this is, as you say, an oversight hearing. Each and every one of these questions was entirely legitimate. And there were ones that she said she wouldn't answer, except then she would answer some. Let's start with Homan. She asserted boldly, as he did, well, different career prosecutors looked at this and didn't think of it as a problem. I don't know what the hell that means, Ben, but what we do know is the FBI did this last fall. They have Homan taking $50,000 in a bag and leaving. The question of where the hell is the money, and what you said, declare it, money laundering and the like, is only the first of 29 legitimate questions. And her answer, go talk to the FBI, which of course we know they wouldn't do. But the total retort there is the FBI works for you. You're here on oversight. Give us the answer. And that's when she would retreat to, I think, a clearly preconceived strategy of just nastily insulting them at the very idea that these questions would be asked. Everything, without exception, that I heard was either flagrantly non-responsive or completely bogus. And all the tighter ones she would claim all of a sudden, oh, that's executive privilege. Oh, I won't talk about that. But things like Epstein or Homan, where she doesn't really have much of an excuse, is when she would, get her shoulders up and give truly inappropriate kind of outrage. Look, I've attended a lot of these hearings, and there can be fiery moments when people make unfair, aggressive kinds of questions. But this was the whole MO. You could think about the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, the Justice Thomas hearings. She came in to really just insult all the people to whom she owes oversight. And to give the impression, I think the thing about this concerted strategy is casual people looking in would just say, oh, government scrum, this, and give the sort of false aboutism. Anyone who knows anything about what she was being asked has to be struck by her incredible arrogance and inappropriateness in just not giving any answers. No answers about Epstein, no answers about Homan, no answers about Siebert, no answers about Adam, no answers about the almost certainly illegal bombing in Venezuela, no answers in Chicago. Here's her answer in Chicago. We have cases now saying again and again, he doesn't have this authority. What's her answer? I wish that you loved the people of Chicago, Senator, as much as you hate Donald Trump, and basically just said, well, there are people who are getting injured there. That's exactly not the question. The question is there a predicate? In every single way, she was nasty and really prepared to just kind of do irrelevant battle, in a sort of vicious, teeth-bared way. I think it's probably I haven't gone to school on all Attorney General oversight hearings in history, but you can't imagine one that more combines non-responsiveness with absolute faux outrage to give the impression that somehow the oversight committee asking totally legitimate questions, where's the money in a bag that Homan took, were somehow inappropriate. It was really a tawdry performance, I thought.
So, you heard her response to Senator Welch at the beginning of this video. I don't know. It wasn't, I don't recall. Oh no,
Yep.
it was I don't know about it. To which he goes, well, why don't you know about it? Isn't that something that you should know about it? Is that something that she's going to try to use to like wiggle out? I mean, in a future point, could someone make a case that that was a lie? That how could she not know, with that being the major story out there, with Tom Homan being as close to her as he is? How do you not know if a video exists or doesn't exist? That defies anyone's logic. There were other questions where she said, go and ask somebody else. But that one she didn't. She said, I don't know about that. What if someone can prove she did know about it?
Yeah. And no, it's a great question. Look, and she said a few different things, but you're right with Welch, who was the calmest of the questioners. And you can't blame Schiff and White House and others for being, totally outraged. They stayed pretty calm, but you're 100% right. Okay. August, September, FBI sting on another person, gets Homan with 50 grand in a bag, and he leaves. Then she says, before I came there, it had been squelched by, she said, that's Honorable Emile Beauvais to you, Senator. You're 100% right. If she's able to proffer 5 professional prosecutors, whatever the hell this means, said it was okay. The idea that she would know that and not know, like, well, what happened to money? And what do we know about this? Why were we closing it down? There's two possibilities, it seems to me. One is, of course, she knows, and it was all, kind of explained to her. The other is in a very ham-handed, see no evil, hear no evil way. She just said, okay, so I want to know, you guys closed it down. Don't have to hear anything else. Nothing wrong here. Keep going. Keep going along, ladies and gentlemen. Either of those speaks to a profound dereliction of her duties as Attorney General. Look, I just want to double back from my experience at DOJ. There's just no such thing as this kind of evidence that comes to you, somebody taking 50,000 in a bag, and you just concluding there's nothing there. That it has to be what these guys always forget. The same with her outrage about Trump is facts and law are what matter here. So what facts or what law did they possibly stumble across to say this very ripe, important investigation, you can just get rid of it? And we know it originated, by the way, with Emile Beauvais. So I think, I don't think this one's going away. You saw a few senators who had no dearth of material to ask her about really zero in on this one. You're right that Homan has to step forward at some point, and the kind of Delphic 5 prosecutors said thus and so, it just can't hold, especially because it just can't be true, or there must be things that are being withheld. There's no possibility that at this point, without looking into money laundering, tax crimes, other things, they let him take the money. I've never heard of that happening, but it has to be because at the time, and this is under the Biden administration, they thought he would do further crimes, try to trap him, etc. And the question, where is the money, is just one that cannot not be answered. So yeah, I think it'll come up again, and it sure seems to me like she's put herself at risk of saying something flat out that almost certainly isn't true. But besides that, just the general contempt, refusal to answer anything. You have this administration that is insisting on deference from the courts, insisting on deference, and just like totally trashes the Senate, totally trashes any decision that goes against them. They are, as a branch, more arrogant and lawless than I think we've ever experienced in this country.
Harry Littman from the Talking Fed YouTube channel, Talking Feds podcast, and Talking Feds Substack. Everybody subscribe to all of them. It's where I get my news from. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.